Hey everybody, welcome back to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast with your hosts Jake Saldati and Chad Rawford. Special guest, but one we always love to have, Jason Papi, head coach of Fresno High, and the one who leads the charge with the Fresno Easter Classic. Thanks, Jason, for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. You guys do a heck of a job. I'm really excited every time you guys put a new one out. So thanks for having me on.
We should have got you on last week or even week before, but we were all gone, dude.
Busy. It's a crazy time of year for everybody.
Well, and last week we tried to squeeze you in, but you're from site to site, place to place.
Yeah, it's this year especially it was crazy busy. We had 7 sites on Monday, 8 sites on Tuesday, and 9 sites on Wednesday. You're talking about 72 games in a matter of 3 days. So it's nonstop, pedal to the metal, and it's really hard. It's a lot of fun, but it's really hard. Not just putting it on, but when you're playing in it and putting it on, and your team, and you're trying to compete, get your team ready to play.
You got to go. You have your scouting guys, other than Pedrozo, right? We know he's not allowed to go watch teams.
It's really bad. And this year, thank God, it was pretty good. We have, like me and my dad have to keep our cell phones on in the dugout, in case something happens at another site, lights go off, sprinklers come on, something like that. So, when you're trying to coach and then you're getting calls from other sites. But this year, knock on wood, there wasn't really any issues like that. All games went off without a hitch. So we were excited to have one heck of a tournament.
And it's always a great tournament. If you're out there listening, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HIT.OR.DIE Podcast, at HIT.OR.DIE on Instagram, at HIT.OR.DIE also on TikTok. And if you're watching, please subscribe. If you're listening, head over to YouTube and subscribe. Pat, before we get into some more Easter Classic talk, the Dogs, just a quick update, got swept by Air Force. Actually, they went 0-4. They dropped their midweek game at Irvine, go on the road to Air Force, dropped 3 straight there. And another big week this week, taking on, I think it's Long Beach State Tuesday night, and then home this weekend, series against San Diego State, who is leading the Mountain West right now. The Dogs are currently 4th, 7-7, 15-15 overall. Behind Air Force, who's 3rd, San Jose State 2nd, and then San Diego State rounds out number 1 there in the Mountain West. So we'll see. For info, go to gobulldogs.com. You guys playing. How much is now the weather starting to be more consistent? Do you think?
I think
things will get. IBs are going to get more consistent, or I'm just kind of picking brains.
This year was different. And I think hitting has been a little behind due to this, weather, rain, couldn't get on a roll. There's been so many things that have happened. And not only, in my realm in high school baseball, but in college baseball where, you're getting rained out, games are getting moved, you're pushing rotations all over the place. You think you're starting this guy, but then you get, a rain out. And, I think I always talk to my team about it. One or two things happens at this time of year. We always say when the sun comes out, man, this is when you get rolling. And so, hopefully the Dogs can get on a roll and string some wins together. I mean, when they came out against UC Santa Barbara, I said, oh, man, here we go. These guys, they punched them in the mouth early in the series. And then, they got beat on, I think that was Easter Classic dinner Sunday. But yeah, that was a rough weekend going to Air Force and losing the series and getting swept. So hopefully, they bounce back this week against, predominantly very good Long Beach State team, and then obviously a San Diego State team that's leading the Mountain West. I mean, you look at that. How are you not good every year? I mean,
yeah, that's true. As far as recruiting, recruiting goes, yeah.
And it was good to see San Diego State basketball do what they did. And so obviously there's a lot of good going on in that on that campus right now, but hopefully the Dogs can take care of business.
Yeah, get a sweep this weekend. Yeah. I don't know if we talked about it with Lapp and Woody a couple weeks ago. As a hitter, and you can answer this as well, how does that kind of stuff affect? Seriously, like at that level, you're hitting every day. The college baseball is a different animal compared to high school baseball. It's just not. Even JUCO. And that kind of schedule, that many rainouts, that lack of consistency of ABs, like how does it more psyche or physical?
I think it's more psyche because I played in Oklahoma, so it snows. So we had to, there was times we weren't on the field for a week or 2 weeks straight. What do we do? There's indoor facilities. Every Division I school in the country has an indoor facility. We traveled to high schools that had indoor facilities because we didn't have one at Oral Roberts, so we went to all the high schools were nicer than ours. We went there and used their indoor facility, or we'd go up to the basketball courts and our infield coach would hit racquetballs and we'd field them barehanded. And I mean, we did so many things, but it was, yeah, you want to play, but the thing is, if you're getting your work in, no matter how it is, you can stay physically ready, I think, especially, with the rainouts and stuff. If you're a good Division I player, you will do that stuff on your own and understand that I need to go get extra swings in, especially with the technology they have now. We didn't have who we were facing this weekend, what they throw.
Like to simulate stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
So now they have all that. So they know the Friday night guy has a 94 two-seamer with a 88 change and a 87 slider. I can go off the machine and prepare for that. We couldn't do that. We just went and hit off the machine. And I think it's more of you just have to get your work in. Like you're there on scholarship. That's your job. Your job is to be prepared, whether there's a rain out or what, games get moved. It's on you. It's not on your coaches to prepare you at that level. It's not high school. So at that level, that's your job. You need to prepare yourself, and it's more about doing it yourself. Like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Get with your boys. Hey, we got to go hit. There's times we spent in the indoor without a coach hours and hours and hours. And that was just because we wanted to get our work in, our extra work. And, we went to a Christian school, so we couldn't do much else outside of campus.
Well, and with weather like that, you're kind of stuck in the elements anyways. It's like, go hit.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's like even when it was nice weather, we did that stuff because that's what we wanted to do for a living. We wanted to all be in the big leagues, and we wanted to get as much work in and work harder than anybody else. And we were a small school, and we wanted to prove that we were better than the big schools. And so, I mean, I think it's definitely a personal thing, and if these kids weren't out doing something or going to DIB, CBA, whatever these indoor facilities, if they weren't going there and getting their work in during these rainouts, because a lot of these high school coaches, some have the money to go do an indoor facility practice and some don't. But if you really want to do this for, in college and after, you have to take it upon yourself to get the extra work in. And
yeah,
so,
and I agree with that. I think the individual player needs to always prepare themselves, and they have enough tools at their disposal now to do that. As a coach, for me, what I saw this year, and I think it doesn't matter what level, they probably ran into the same problem. We couldn't get the skill work in, the teamwork, the bunt defenses, the rundowns, the long alignments, the short alignments, first and thirds, all those things that you need to do. You need to be sharp at that you usually get done, obviously, at the beginning part of the season. Practices, when you finally were able to get on the field, you were doing one of two things. You were getting mass ground balls, mass fly balls,
right,
or you were inter-squadding. So you could see some live arm and because you can face a coach at 45, 50 feet all you want. You can face that machine arm all you want. But, there's nothing, in my opinion, that simulates a guy on the mound and facing that guy. And so we – at Fresno High, anytime we had a free day where we didn't have rain or we had a dry field, we were jumping on and either inter-squadding or trying to get some team drills done that obviously you want to do to stay sharp.
Some of that fundamental stuff you're kind of learning in-game mode, which makes it difficult.
Right, and then around here, the facilities aren't big enough to where you're putting full fields together and you can run bunts indoors. You're going in and there's a couple cages. There might be a fake bullpen mound or two that you're throwing off of. But you can't get the team defense aspect, and we're working on picks and all those things that you usually do. So that's, and the other thing is, in Fresno Unified now, and I think all the districts are pretty close, but we didn't come back to school from the Christmas holiday until like January 11th. And our first scrimmage was second week of February, first game. And so you had 4 weeks to get ready, and so it got on us quick. And now it's, as you guys know, you've done it a long time and you've been in the coaching profession. Now once you start playing, your midweek practices in between games are trying to sharpen up things that you didn't do well at, and just trying to get those bullpens in and get your BP sessions in and things like that. But I really think that this year was way different than, I mean, I've been doing it now at Fresno High for 20 years, 21 years, and I don't remember a year like this where we
As wet as it's been?
It's unbelievable. But now, hopefully, the sun's going to shine for a while, and I think you're going to see some teams really start playing better baseball, because I think you guys would agree. Doesn't matter what level you look at, even at the pro level, it's been pretty sloppy.
Well, we kind of talked about it, you know.
So hopefully it starts cleaning up.
And I'm not shitting on the Dogs. I just, you know, it's consistency, right? There's been a little bit of lack of, and it's kind of everywhere, right? It's not singling out one team.
No,
we pay more attention to the Dogs around here, and everything's in front of them. We've said it before. They're fourth place, 7-7, still a lot of baseball to play. The weather's going to stay consistent here for a minute, so
yeah.
Well, you know, think things will get a little different, but
hopefully they get hot.
Yeah, hopefully they do get hot. I mean, their front end starters are good. They've been getting better starts. At Sunday this last weekend was better. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, everything's in front of the Dogs. Trying to get them to play at home for a Mountain West tournament would be friggin' great. So, but Fresno Easter Classic, it's a big week for you guys. Congrats to Coach Cliff Rold, was the Golden Bat winner.
Yes,
this year, longtime local coach in the Fresno area, Edison High School. It was fun, you know, his speech and hearing those guys kind of talk about him throughout the career he had there. The dinner's always fun, man. I kind of mentioned it last week, just about seeing coaches you hadn't seen in a while or seeing people you haven't seen.
Right.
How many tournaments? Because I know Boris has one. There's the National Classic down in L.A.
Right.
Do you happen to know if those guys do dinners like you guys do them?
I don't know. I can't speak on it. I don't think so. You know, my dad, when he started this thing 53 years ago, he was big on his exact wording was he wants to keep the integrity of this tournament first class. And that's something that we've tried to do year in and year out. We want to make it an experience for these teams. We want them to feel good, feel important. They come in. I mean, as you guys know, steak dinner for all the coaches on Sunday night, coaches' gifts, T-shirts, you name it. We try to provide it for these guys. All the baseballs in the tournament are provided. You won't find other tournaments around now, especially with baseballs, $85 to $100 a dozen now. And for this tournament, we're going through 40, 45 dozen baseballs. So you can see the hefty costs just there. You know, when you're talking about putting 72 games together in a matter of 3 days, your umpire costs are through the roof. You know, and we pay a little bit more for the morning game and the afternoon game, meaning the 10 o'clock and the 1 o'clock game, because a lot of these umpires have other jobs. And so they have to leave work early because it's spring break for the high school teams, or most of them. Some of them aren't on spring break. But we've got to pay time and a half to have umpires at those games.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, our umpire bill is expensive. And you know, I want to just go on record and say, you know, SJVOA and Jeff Fonts do a heck of a job. I mean, 72 games, getting those things covered. Every guy's there. You know.
Well, and there's other tournaments. There's the Fowler tournament. Like there's other. The Visalia has one.
Yeah, and
they have their own association, right? I don't know.
Yes, it depends, but you know, SJVOA covers some of those areas,
right.
And so you know, every game was covered. Regardless of whether people thought the umpiring was good, bad, or anything in between, that's going to happen. But the fact that 72 games are covered, 2 umpires, I thought, you know, that's impressive. But yeah, it's something that is what my dad wanted 53 years ago. Just to, you know, and this thing has started with 8 teams, and this year we had 36, and I think the biggest we've ever had was 38. But he wants to make it nice, and I hope we do a good job of doing that. But that coaches dinner, man, when you bring coaches together in the same room, you know, everybody wants to compete and you know, beat the heck out of each other on the field. But when you get in the same room, man, it's fun to share stories and talk and to honor guys like Cliff Rold, who, like I said at the dinner that night when I spoke briefly about him. You know what I respect most is there's a guy right there that dug his heels in at one school, and through good, through bad, or through anything in between, man, he built a program there. And that's something that you don't see all the time anymore, man. There's a lot of bouncing around, people moving all over the place. That guy spent 30 years of his life. And when you look back at the old school guys, the old school coaches, the Ken Papis, you know, the Mike Noakes, the Jim Samarcos, the Cliff Rolds, you know, those guys, Merv Carters, they were at one school their entire career or for most of it. And that is, that's something to be proud of in my opinion, because you're going to get the cards that you're dealt in terms of the players and the teams. You're going to have good years and bad years. But, I've watched Cliff for a long time now. You want to talk about somebody that just bled Tiger, baseball. He did. And so it was cool to honor him. He's now moved to Tennessee. He lives in Tennessee now with his wife. They're both retired. He's closer to family there. And, it was just fun to hear him get up and talk and talk some stories. And so really, really fun evening.
We had some eventful games there over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Coaching. Bullard goes on to win the Easter Classic over Redwood. 5-3 final there.
Yes.
At Clovis East. And one thing I kind of talked about a little bit on Camarillo's show last week, but the one thing I wanted to kind of get into that we talked about briefly was somebody was making comments to me. A couple people made comments to me privately about the dugouts and chatter and banter and all that stuff. And one, do you feel like it's worse now than it was 20 years ago? Because I honestly felt like we were bad. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Chad, I'm going to let you lead this one off.
I thought we were, we said some pretty bad stuff. I don't know.
I think we were worse, but I also think we were better baseball players and we backed the shit up. We didn't do a flex on somebody when somebody had an error. Like, no, we flexed on you when you hit a fucking home run or when we hit a ball in the gap that scored 3. We didn't flex on a fucking ass out dinker over the second baseman's head. Like, these kids want to flex on everything, and there's no development at all. And that's not for every school. I'm not talking about every school. I'm talking about as a whole for baseball. And you see it at the big league level.
You're not even talking here.
You're talking about everywhere. I'm talking about the game of baseball is so bad that we had to make changes to the game to make it more fun to watch because it's so bad. Like, the hitters are so bad that we had to make it easier for base runners to steal a base and make it easier for guys to get base hits. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, we're gonna dive into some.
I know, but it's in the high school level too. These guys are wearing fucking glasses on their hat. It's fucking pitch dark outside. Like, what are you doing? Are you trying to look as cool as fucking possible to commit to 5 different schools before you finally go somewhere because your grades are shitty? Like, I mean, are we gonna keep fucking rolling bats? I know everybody does it now. Do it. Well, guess what? You're gonna get exposed when you go to the next level. You think you're fucking good. Because at D1, your bats get tested.
Guys are getting exposed a little bit. I mean, you've seen it.
It's a joke. Just go play the game of baseball. Have some pride in playing the game that we grew up loving so much where, you didn't want to disrespect the game. I mean, there's always that, celebration. It happens. We're human. You're in the moment.
Yeah.
You're in the moment, but it's getting out of hand. It's too much.
Well, I can't speak on, and I'm not going to speak on.
Well, your team, but I mean, how you handle your guys.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak on.
Of course not.
The level of talent or the rolled bats or anything like that. I don't. That's outside. That's outside my realm. But I can speak on dugouts because I'm in one all the time, and I can speak on my dugout. And we have absolutely zero problem with our guys being energetic and playing the game with passion and intensity and energy. In fact, we talk about that every day. We say, there's a couple things you can always control as a player, and I think a lot of the times that's gotten lost. What can you control? You can control your attitude. You control your attitude, whether you're 4 for 4, 0 for 4, the way you approach the game and the way that you act, you can control that. And you can control the other thing you can control is your intensity, your energy level, your energy and effort, the way you approach the game, the hustle, doing the little things right. And so I think when we played, and I graduated in '96, so it's been a while. But I think dugouts were bad then. But I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember in high school when I hit a double, I never ever
like had a celebration with the dugout like that.
None of that. So that stuff has changed. Honestly, like I don't remember any of that. In fact, one of the stories that I tell all the time, and I talked about it at the coaches' dinner on Sunday night, because obviously I was raised by a coach and coached by some very good coaches who are old school, who really respected the game of baseball. And one of the best stories that I have where it was like a wow moment for me, an eye-opener, and it was in a damn inter-squad at Fresno State. And I mentioned him at the dinner, Coach Purse. We were inter-squad, and at Fresno State, our inter-squads were pretty dang intense. We had the hamburger series, and I can't even remember what inter-squad it was, if it was part of that or whatever. But I talked 30 seconds ago about your energy and your effort piece. Well, I was on second base in an inter-squad, and the game was pretty heated between our team, between us, because they got competitive. And somebody hit a double. I was on second base. Somebody hit a double with 2 outs. And I took off from second base, and I hit third knowing that I was going to score. So I kind of just slowed up and big leagued or whatever, just jogged home. And I remember like it was yesterday. My team comes flying out of the dugout to shake my hand. And all I could hear was Coach Purse at the top of his lungs yelling, "Don't shake his hand, don't shake his hand." And then he blew me up in the dugout about hustle, because that runner, the batter that hit the ball, almost got thrown out at second base. It was bang, bang, tag play. And if I wouldn't have scored, obviously, you guys being baseball guys, the run doesn't count. And that is the things that I'm talking about that maybe in today's generation, they don't even get. And I was taught that in a Fresno State game, and I knew better, but it was an inter-squad, and I thought, I'm going to showboat home, jog home, whatever you want to call it, not sprint the whole way. And he aired me out about it, and I learned something that day. And from that day on, I can promise you that I never let that happen again. And I think that's the thing that I focus on with our dugout. You guys want to be loud, you want to be energetic, we're going to keep it with us. And you're going to hustle. We have a thing at Fresno High where our guys need to get on and off that field in 11 seconds or less. There's no walking out, and I've seen that over the years. And they turn on the TV, they sit in the big leagues, man. Nobody hustles out onto the field. And, we sprint out onto the field, sprint back. I tell them when you strike out, jog back to the dugout, and don't fist pound. Don't fist pound. I hate that, I don't like after a strikeout.
What are we fist pounding?
Correct. And you don't want to hang the guy or yell at him or you struck out though. I don't want I never wanted somebody fist pounding me. And so in terms of the dugout, I know why you're bringing this up, because the championship game was
somebody brought it up.
High energy.
Well, but I didn't think it was too out of hand.
Right.
It did. There was obviously I don't see everything, so that's why I'm saying after the fact, some people privately brought some things up to my attention. It's like, well, and I'm trying to think back when I played. We talked a lot of shit. We did.
And I was, to be honest with you, I was running all over that stadium. As you saw me.
Well, yeah, you were down here 1 minute, up there.
I was down by the
behind
Redwood
getting awards.
Getting awards, carrying.
I don't think you even watched the game.
Up in the press box, trying to do stats and things like that, so we could give out our tournament awards. So I didn't see everything. What I do know is that was one hell of a high school baseball game. We had a great crowd, and it just seemed electric. It seemed high intensity, and it seemed like a playoff atmosphere. And I think that's what we strive to have every year in the Easter tournament. And before we go on, one of the things that honestly I want to give my Easter Classic committee and the guys that help put this thing on, because we have a lot of guys that work behind the scenes. I say a lot. All your ticket takers, your scorekeepers, your announcers, your scoreboard operators, your park supervisors, my Easter Classic scheduling committee. We had, and I'm not lying to you, we had only 4 undefeated teams. They went 4-0 out of 36 teams. That's pretty impressive. And obviously it ended up being 3 because Redwood lost. But going into that last day,
they were undefeated as well, right?
Amador Valley, San Ramon, Bullard High finished undefeated. Those 3 teams, and then obviously Redwood finished 3-1, and I think there was 6 or 7 teams that finished 3-1. So I think our scheduling committee does a pretty damn good job of matchups and trying to make it, competitive, because that's what everybody wants. An example, the Amador Valley coach is a buddy of mine. When I was a head coach of the North-South team, which was one heck of an event, by the way. I mean, you guys probably remember it. California Baseball Coaches Association put it on, and it's went away, and it was a free event, and it had every college around going to. And do you guys remember it? It would either be at Santa Clara, San Diego State. I was a head coach of that team in 2011. If you were a guy in California, it was for juniors. the North would play the South. So, basically Bakersfield was a split, Northern California, Southern California. And they had a big tryout in the South, big tryout in the North. And then they'd pick the teams and you go meet and they would switch it. It was at San Diego State or Santa Clara. Every other year it would rotate. But when I was the coach of that team in 2011 or 12, it was one of those years, I got to coach with a guy named Lou Cesario, and he's the head coach at Amador Valley. And they came for the first time this year. Good club, very competitive league. They're obviously in with De La Salle, and they play good baseball. But that's why those guys come here, because they want to play in atmospheres like this. They want to play competitive baseball. And so to see both of those guys go 4-0 in this area, I think it says a lot about maybe baseball in the other areas this year. I think you guys would agree.
Yeah, that's been brought up a bunch of times. Is
good baseball?
Not that we
played.
don't credit other areas.
Right.
We just we focus on this.
Here,
and
right.
So when you see teams from out of the area come in and play well, like you just
Yeah, and Bullard did a heck of a job. I mean, to go through that deal and go 3-0 and not give up a run. To be honest with you, I don't know if that's ever happened. I'd have to go back and look. I mean, in 3 games, they didn't give up a run. And then, obviously in the championship game, they got down early. And, one bad inning by Redwood, 5-run, what was it, 6th? 5-run 6, and you lose 5-3. And so I think those two teams will play again in the playoffs. And I think that'll be a good atmosphere because both those teams are very good teams. I mean, I've seen them, and I think Bullard even gets better when the shortstop, when Zvorak comes back. And I think somebody just told me he might be coming back this year. And obviously that's a major bat in the middle of their order. That's a very good player that'll be playing shortstop. And
right now they've got guys kind of out of position a little bit. So
they got a really good team, and so does Redwood. I mean, Redwood's good, and they played, they probably outplayed Bullard for 6 of the 7 innings,
right?
But it only takes 1, and that's what makes this game so great. That's what I talk about with my players all the time, and Lord knows we don't always do it. But trying to play 7 one-inning games, you got to play 7 one-inning games and not 1 7-inning game because it doesn't matter. We focus on that. We focus on winning the big 3. Which obviously Redwood didn't do. The 5th, 6th, and 7th are the biggest innings in the game. You don't win those 3, a lot of times you're losing. And so there's some things that we kind of try to focus on. We've talked about us 3 before privately that I think help. But that atmosphere was pretty electric, and it was wild, man. I as I'm moving around and walking around, there was just a lot walking through the stands. Fans were yelling and screaming. It was a good high school baseball game. And so, I don't know what was said or anything like that. I wasn't there. But, I do think the trash talking today is probably, like Chad said, there's a little fluff in it, maybe.
Well, it's hard. I'm thinking about what Chad's saying about just competitive and I get that there's moments within a game where you get emotional. You're down. You hadn't played well. But to see the flex stuff and then 6 errors on the scoreboard, I'm kind of like, well,
right.
Those don't go hand in hand. You know what I mean?
No.
Listen, hats off, like you said. It only takes 1 inning. And they hung around long enough to get that 1 inning. And that's, good teams don't quit. And they didn't quit. They found a way to win. And you tip your cap. But I do kind of agree with Chad a little bit. Like, some guys like to look the part, say the part. But right now, not a lot of guys are playing the part as far as the game goes.
Man, I just
I don't remember. I remember. I'm with you too. I'm trying to think back if I ever celebrated a double or something. I don't even think I did at Oral Roberts.
No.
I did that. What do I need to celebrate it for?
You might have stared at the pitcher.
Supposed to get on base.
Maybe maybe my dugout was doing something to me.
Right.
But now it's something good happens. The whole dugout leaves the dugout to fucking celebrate on the field and
right.
Because they want to be seen. Why do you want to be seen so much?
Right. The only one thing that is coming to mind because we're talking about times that have changed. Was it World Series year when the Fresno State kid ripped the jersey open?
No, it was the Stanford
when
Regional.
They lost to Stanford Regional.
Stanford, yeah, that was pretty viral. That's a hell of a celebration.
That's hilarious.
Right. So
and you don't.
He didn't do anything to the other team. A lot of the stuff now, it's towards the other team.
Right.
Well, and it's just funny too. I was thinking about a time we played Clovis High and James Patrick, a long time, Clovis High coach. This was 12 years ago. Madera was not. We were struggling. We were still in the track. So it was a long time ago. Not playing well, getting ran through by most teams. We had to play a makeup game on a Saturday against Clovis at Madera, and we won. This was like one of the 2 wins we had in the track that year. But James didn't skip a beat. I'll never forget it. As we're shaking hands, he comes up and he says, "That is the Madera we always play. Like that is almost like it doesn't matter what our record is. It doesn't matter we've gotten beat up all year by every other track team." He gave us the respect of a good club, and it was just pretty cool to hear him say that. Like this is the Madera I'm used to. I'm sure he wasn't happy about losing, but wasn't disrespectful or didn't look at us based on record of this is a win on our belt because they're 1-15 right now. Right. No, it didn't matter to him. That stuff was out the door, and I think about that. Like there was respect for your opponent. You can respect your opponents.
Correct, 100%. And I think I think it goes hand in hand. Like this goes together with a lot of the stuff. I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but today, this everybody going to the playoffs thing, that's rough, and I think that's part of it. You had to earn it, and now I think you have to win 30% of your games, and
even that, like, what are we doing? Again, another topic.
How many wins is that?
What was it?
Well, it still puts Andy's 10-18 team last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, 6-20 gets you in, right?
6-20. You can win 6 games and just forfeit the rest. That's what's ridiculous about it.
Right? Is that 30%? I mean,
it's
3 and 10
like
would be 30%.
Right.
Do the math. 6. I think 6-20. I mean, we play 28 games roughly.
Yeah.
Everybody gets 28 contacts, but is 6-20 30%?
Say 8.
Yes, about right around there. Rough.
Yes.
Depends on how many what your contacts are.
Correct.
But yeah,
and
between
something
that number.
I don't know. I wish and I've spoken about that and what I think and teams moving down divisions and I don't agree with a lot of that stuff.
But do people in that make these decisions ask you guys? I'm out of the loop. We're out of the loop.
Well, in all honesty, I'm on the baseball advisory board, and we voted in 16 teams for the playoffs, which is good.
Yeah.
Division I should be 16 or however many they have there, and guys aren't moving. Because, when I spoke on it last year, I had factual stuff, and I said, last year in the playoffs, there's 6 divisions. Both teams that played in the Division I final were base Division I teams. Both teams that played in the Division II final were base Division I teams. Both teams that played in the Division III final were base Division II teams. And, that was Hanford High and Bakersfield High, who had been Division I teams in sports. I mean, you remember Bakersfield football
yeah.
And Hanford. I mean, those are – and so you take the 3 of the 6 divisions, and 4 of those, there's only, as you guys know, in 6 divisions, there's only 12 teams that play for section finals. 4 of the 12 were from base Division I, and the other 2 were base Division II. So half of them came from the top 2 divisions. What does that do to the 4, 5s, and 6? And then in Division IV last year, it was Lemoore, who's a big school who played in a crazy big league, who's now changed, but they're playing
They used to be a Division II team.
They're playing Redwood and 3 times and Hanford High and that league, the Visalia, the Mount Whitneys, the El Diamantes, against Madera South, who was in the CMAC, who just came out of league playing Bullard 3 times, Memorial 3 times, Madera 3 times, Sanger 3 times, Edison 3 times. And then you're playing in Division IV, and it's no fault to those guys at all. Like, I'm not, I mean, it is where it is. I don't know where we'll be for the playoffs. We're 2, 3. I've never been below 2, and I take that back in a long time. But I just think that we got to have divisions, and we have to stick to them for 2 years, and you can reevaluate after 2 years, because you don't want to put a team and a coach and a program in a situation where you don't know what division you're in. Like, we should all know what division we're in right now, and we can see, hey, who are we going to be playing? And so I think all this ties together. I really do, because things have changed dramatically. And I remember, like you said, about being in the track. we used to have the North Yosemite League. It seemed had like 70 teams in it, and you had to win the league to get in the playoffs. And then I think they took 2 at-large schools, and that was it. And you had large school and small school, 2 section champs. And so I don't know, and I don't have all the answers, but what I do know is I think that competition is key, and making people earn things means a lot to me, because we had to do that. There was nothing wrong with my senior year in 1996. We won the Easter Classic. We rolled 13 straight wins in a high school season. We were number 1 in the Valley for a long time, and we didn't win it all. And that year was Madera High. Beat Clovis High, and they played better baseball when it mattered. And so I said something earlier in the year, and I know Coach Donald probably said the same thing to his team after the game. That was a great atmosphere last Wednesday night, but I can guarantee you, when that matchup comes again, there's going to be there's going to be 2 hungry teams, because they'll probably play again, and
they'll probably be able to match up their guys on the mound. And
right, exactly. Neither team.
Well, if they were matching up guys on the mound, Redwood would have won that game.
I mean, you put the pointer in their favor, I would think. I mean, that's the one thing about that
dudes
team
on the mound.
They're deeper, I think, on the bump.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen Volchko throw this year, and holy smokes! But I mean, in not to discredit, Schneider is one heck of a pitcher, and I know he threw his tail off against somebody in the Easter Classic.
Well, yeah, they went 3 shutouts, right? So I mean, it's not like
so
they can't get it done.
It'll be interesting to see, but like I said, if Zavorak comes back healthy, that makes them better. But there's a lot of good teams in this area. But I said it earlier, I think there's a lot of good teams outside this area this year. You add those coastal schools in. You saw what happened last year in the Bakersfield schools. I mean, that's crazy to think. We lost 3-2 to them earlier in the year. But as it stands now, Bakersfield Christian, who lost 6-5 to Buchanan early in the year, beat Stockdale for the Central Tournament Championship. The highest they're going to go, unless they petition to go higher, I think, is Division II, because they're a base Division III team. And you want to talk about having a couple arms?
2 D1 arms,
3 or 4 D1 arms.
Yeah.
They've got, I think, a kid committed to Fullerton, and maybe one to Cal Poly. I don't know. I heard of it. They have 2 lefties that are committed to pretty big schools, and I think they could beat anybody, and they have. But I think the Bakersfield area has some pretty good baseball right now as well. So it'll be interesting. This is when teams really start separating themselves. Like I said, when the sun comes out in the back end of league play, and I tell my guys all the time, I think we're 17 games in. Nobody's going to remember you for your first 17.
No.
They're going to remember you for your last 11.
That's why
12.
why rankings to me are just not important.
Yeah, I hear you.
They want to be seen.
Well, yeah, I think that's what it is.
I mean, you putting rankings out, you want people to see that you're doing that. Or now people don't want to see it, so you make a burner account to make another one. I don't know.
I don't care about
joke.
like it just come, end of May or whenever the playoffs start. Everybody is the same record. I mean, you've been through it 100 times. We've all been through it. Like,
oh yeah.
If you're playing like the best team right then that part of the year, you may have been a 7 seed, a 6 seed. It just doesn't matter until then.
And that was, to be 100% honest with you, that was, when I spoke that night at our advisory board meeting about, having full brackets. First of all, I was very adamant about the fact that Division I is your best baseball teams. Why do we want 8? Why do we want every one of those teams to have a bye? Let's fill those brackets up. And I brought some stuff to the table of how many times have you seen a 16 seed beat a 1 seed in high school baseball in the playoffs. It happens. Look at it happens. And that's what makes it fun, because all 16 teams that are in there, or whatever that number is, have the opportunity to win games. And
Well, they have a guy.
Correct. And I was not big on, Division 2 through 6, you're going to have 16. You're going to have full brackets. You got to win 4 games to be a section champion. But Division 1, you only have to win 3. So why are we making it easier to win a section title at that level? I think people want to watch
while sending Division I teams down.
Yeah, I really
to
think
win a Division II title.
Right. Well, and the other thing with that, you brought the two teams at 1 and D2, which again, you go win what you can play for. That's not their fault, right?
No, not.
But like even
exactly.
Clovis North was a Division I team in the semifinal of the playoffs for Division II.
Right? Was that the Bach?
Yeah, that was the Bach ending game.
I remember.
But
No, you're right. And that night I even brought it up. I said, okay, listen, if we want to do that, let's create another. I'm kind of hypocritical here, but I said, let's create another division. Let's go an 8-team open division.
if you're gonna do that,
And then an 8-team Division I bracket. If you guys want 8 or somebody wants 8 or we want to fill it with 8 teams, let's go 8 in the open division and let's go 8 in the Division I. And then you go D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, whatever. But I didn't understand. I mean, nobody could tell me the logical response as to why we would have only 8 in that division. There's no logical, especially in baseball, man, that you can't have. I mean, because when you have a bye, if you have a dude on the mound, you could roll yourself into the section title game without throwing anybody else. And that's with him on 5 days rest. And I just don't, I think that, you've got to fill those brackets in other sections throughout the state. Some of those brackets are like huge, 32, 36 team brackets.
And they play best of 3 in some areas.
Yeah. And so, that's maybe something we can look at. But, it's all that said, it's going to be fun as we get closer to, playoff baseball. And, hopefully this weather stays warm and, we can get some really good competitive games on the back end of the season.
I think they're coming. I think you're right. I think the consistent weather, you'll start to see maybe some teams that were a little sluggish or struggling start to kind of find their rhythm or groove. We'll see. MLB, though, has started. We've been away a minute. I read an article on Sports Illustrated from about a week ago, actually. The title was, the head title of the article was, "Baseball with New Rules is Already More Exciting. Here's the Proof." Now, would you agree with that, just as a title? Baseball, Major League Baseball is more exciting, is already more exciting?
No.
You disagree?
I
Chad, you'll like this. This article was written by Tom Verducci. This is why.
Yeah, what's more exciting?
The gist was,
what was the example?
Parts of it,
a game being
baseball's,
shorter?
well, yeah, he gets
By
in
26 minutes.
all that stuff. Baseball's popularity declined because it was too slow. That is no longer true. The game has turned a sharp corner, but to bring fans back, it also needs a diversity of style, and that is the proof that it's happening already. He mentions that the gameplay is, you're seeing about 26-minute shorter games than typically had in seasons past. The argument that people were having was, do owners like this because of lack of concessions, or 30 minutes of no selling beer or whatever? And apparently the data shows that it's not really a hit at all, that there is no big marginal difference in profit in those 26 minutes, which maybe you're paying people to work the concession. Maybe they wash them or cancel themselves out. I don't know.
Don't they stop selling beer after the 7th anyways?
Some places do, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They brought up the shift, though, and I just wanted to throw this out there. He went and searched or provided the spring training ground ball batting average. So these are ground ball hits. In spring training in 2022, the overall batting average was 233 for balls on the ground. Pulled balls on the ground was 183. And in 2023 spring training, overall was 16 points higher at 249, and pulled balls was 206. So still not stellar.
Great batting averages.
So is that the problem? I mean, what is exciting about no shift? I guess I don't know.
And that's what I'm missing.
It's like they're trying to sell.
And
they're
had this
really pushing to
discussion
sell this
with buddies of mine. Somebody that was at, a good buddy of mine was at opening day. And I made the comment, I said, hey, listen, I would sit at Oracle Park for 5 hours. I'm kind of mad if I go to Oracle Park now and it's
You play
Did you do a day trip?
hour and 56 minutes.
I'm like, man, when you're sitting out watching the game and I can get it, okay, hey, watching on TV, but my rebuttal and my argument was, okay, well, then golf's next. And we're going to put some time restrictions on golf. After you hit your shot, you've got the player. Let's see who the real athletes are. The players have to jog to the next ball. They have 1:30 to hit their next shot. And then once you're on the green, you got to putt within 15 seconds. I don't know if anybody's watching the Masters.
Yeah, it was pretty slow.
Did you see
5 hours?
Did you see Koepka and Rahm waiting for days? That's just there's not many.
By hole 8, some guys would be dropping dead if that were the case.
There's not many games. There's no clock. That's what makes baseball great, in my opinion. That you can't run out the clock. You've got to get 27 outs.
Yeah, even with the clock, you still have to get all the outs.
You have to get all the outs. And so, you want to speed it up a little bit, fine. I'm not going to get into that debate of 15, 20 seconds, this, that, and the other. But I agree with him or you or whoever just said it about the pickoff thing.
Oh, yeah,
Holy
yeah.
smokes, and
Only
you can
two?
only pick twice, and then the guy gets a huge lead. Well, if you pick him and get him out, he's out. But if you pick and he's not out, well, now he gets the base. Like, what are we doing?
They're bigger bases.
All right. And you mark my word, that's going to go because that's a safety issue. I'm assuming that's why they did it. And that'll be at the high school and the college level next. Just like the helmets, and that'll be there. Right? Is that why they put first base bigger? So there wasn't collisions, right?
Maybe.
That's what I thought.
Whatever excuse they're going to give, I don't know.
There was, Rajay, remember I said on the, Rajay Davis said it was for stolen bases. It was more so with the stolen bases thing because they did a vote on the most exciting plays in baseball, and stolen bases was like number 2, and it's not there. So they were trying to figure out ways to get that back in the game. Which the funny thing is I think people are just stealing bases more because they want them to steal bases more. The base is literally 3 inches more. Like, I don't understand how 3 inches is going to make me want to steal more bases now. Like,
well, if you have 3 inches all around on each base, that's 6, right? You're gaining 6 inches technically. He was talking about the use of the base as a way to not eliminate, but slow down the launch angle game. Because guys weren't stealing bases because of, you've always said, they're in scoring position at first base because we're trying to hit tanks. And so now by guys being able to steal bases, they're seeing more of an old school game of stealing balls on the ground, moving guys over. I mean, it's been a week of 8 games in MLB. It's very small sample size, but that is where he took the article, Verducci did. And he said the more hitters get rewarded on ground balls, the more they accept them. Don't be mistaken. Hitters still want to hit the ball in the air, especially line drives, but we are seeing hitters adjust to a new world where ground balls aren't so bad.
Wow.
A small sample size.
Very small. And like I said, I don't, either way. Obviously, the pitch clock thing, it is what it is.
And he kind of says the early trend shows strikeouts and walks are still up. So they're still, you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily making the product better.
Where's batting average?
It's still too early. 8 games, like, there's guys with maybe 38, 40 at-bats.
That's what I'm saying. It's
and this article was from opening weekend, so it's over a week old.
Is it 340 now, the batting average across the board? Is it?
Maybe.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, is the batting average that much higher without the shift? Is it? I mean, you think these guys are really going to change their swing in the big leagues?
My thing is, what makes the game more exciting? Balls put in play.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So
any action is more exciting.
I don't know this. I don't look at these stats on a daily basis, but was there more strikeouts than hits last year in Major League Baseball? Yes or no?
More strikeouts than hits? Probably a lot more, yeah.
Okay, so I think that maybe if more balls were put in play, what does that create? That creates more excitement. That creates more plays being made. That creates more energy. Guys going first to third on singles.
Right.
And so maybe let's talk about that. You want to do something fun? Let's you get, I don't know, there you strike out. It's a
2 outs.
2 outs.
2 outs. There you go.
Got to put balls in
Strike
play.
out looking.
Yeah, that'll speed up your game.
Hey, I won't get people in the stands, and you tell me. Like, I could be crazy. I've brought this up to a couple people, and some are like, maybe. Some liked it. I went to spring training a couple weeks ago, and there's one thing I've noticed, and it actually doesn't even matter where you go. It could be spring training. It could be just a regular MLB game, college, the Grizzlies. Every little kid wants what?
Baseball.
A baseball. Mm-hmm. Why can't we find a way to, in these tickets, find a way to every kid that's, 12 and under to, and I don't know how you prove the age, but just the ticket is you get a ball with admission. I looked up what it costs Major League Baseball to make baseballs. Their average costs for MLB baseball. Do you have any idea what you think an average cost per ball?
No idea.
$1.65.
It was $7. I would pay $7 more for a ticket
with a baseball.
I mean, the gift shop they're $12 for a rubber.
Yeah, but the cost isn't the. Dude, they throw out every ball.
Yeah, everything gets dirty. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do we not? That ball gets used.
The game balls from
pitch.
this game are now the BP balls for tomorrow's game. The BP balls for those games go to the cage. The cage balls go. Then fucking start dealing those cage balls to the fans.
Give them some kids. That's all the kids wanted was a baseball. They didn't care about anything else. They didn't even care if they got it autographed. Mm-hmm. The kids walked away with a baseball.
It's cool.
We can't find a way to get kids. Like, you want people to come? I don't know. To me, I thought that was, I don't know how you do it or execute it. That's a shit ton of baseballs throughout the year. God. Or do you pick a game like opening day?
I just finished talking about the cost of my
I know.
baseballs for the tournament. You're wanting to give them away.
But that's fine.
I'm doing it already.
You buy an all-star game ticket. Or I mean,
yeah, you're right.
Certain events or every month, each team does a game night where every kid gets a base. I don't know how you do it. You could do something is what I'm saying. Yeah. Like Chad said, put those. There's guys that pitchers don't even throw a ball. They get one and nope, I don't like it. It never even touches the game. Mm-hmm. I don't know, just another thing to think about. Hey, on Instagram, I saw this yesterday. The Giants ended up winning a game. Who did they play? I don't even remember who they played now. It was the Royals.
Correct.
Another good team.
Another stellar baseball game. Where the Giants' social media headline was Peterson completes the comeback. Okay. You saw this.
Yes, I know where you're going.
He's a Giant fan.
I know. Chad, I'll ask you first.
The AAA roster. Huh?
It was at that point in time in the eighth, the Royals were winning 1-0. 1-0. And I just put it out there. Is 1-0 considered? Would you consider that a comeback?
They came back from 1-0.
So yes, that you think it's a comeback?
I mean,
by definition of the word,
yes.
I answered your Instagram and I said yes.
I saw it, but my rebuttal is to all. And listen, there's a lot of Giants fans.
I think to make it
right.
to make it bigger than it is, like a comeback, is one thing.
To completes.
You could be like the Giants came back to win, rather than the Giants made a big comeback.
Well, so when I saw that headline, the first thing I did was click the video to see what was the score, and it was 1-0. Like, you can't win a game with 0 runs. They don't have a choice but to come back. So every team that's down that has 0 runs that scores more than the other team, was that a comeback at some point? All games have comebacks on them.
You can have multiple comebacks.
You can't win with 0 runs.
By definition.
Name me a team that wins with. So you tied the game, essentially, is what you did.
So if you score, if the Warriors and the Coyotes are playing and you guys score, I'm going to win this, by the way.
No, because if the Dodgers had came back and won a 1-0 game, so your answer would have been fucking no.
The Coyotes score 1 in the top of the first. The Warriors come back in the bottom of the first and score 2.
They came back
and won, and nobody scored the rest of the game.
But would you call 1-0 you can't win the game at 0 runs.
Where
you have to score 1 at least to win.
But like Chad just said, there could be multiple comebacks in a game. What is the number of runs that need to be?
That's why I specifically said 1-0.
It could. What
you just turned a shutout into a comeback victory.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just being kind of just trying to be a dickhead.
You are.
I was trying to start up a little bit of calm. Yeah, and it's worked a little bit.
I'm just happy the Giants won.
Hey, I think all the Giants fans are happy that the Giants won.
We almost got swept by the Royals.
Oh, my. Yeah. Hey, so the other thing that happened over the weekend was a play at the plate between Fresno and Travis d'Arnaud. Did you see the slide? No? Maybe I can show it to you.
Show it to me. I did not.
Chad, did you see it?
Yeah.
Now, it was called a dirty slide by a lot of people.
Oh boy.
And I'm not sure I would consider it a dirty slide.
I must have been hiding Easter eggs.
Play at the plate.
What?
Yeah, I mean, again,
What?
dirty slide or lack thereof.
Yeah, he didn't slide, I don't think.
He didn't slide. Holy. Oh,
Darno's out for a minute.
With what?
I'm assuming a concussion. I didn't read out, but he came out of that game. I think he's down. I don't know if he's on an IL or not, but would you consider that a dirty slide? Or he didn't really slide?
right. Things have changed. I wonder what Pete Rose would say about that.
If that was a dirty slide or not? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think Pete Rose would care.
No, he wouldn't care.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the Jazz Chisholm, or whatever the fuck his name is, slide into second, like slides into a knee. Then Marte just slid into a knee at third, and these guys are out with concussions. What the fuck is that? Like, you're not sliding at 100 miles an hour.
I didn't see those.
You ran into somebody. Yeah, a knee is going to hurt, but like, what are we doing laying on the ground like we're fucking dead and shit? Like, get the hell up. Dust yourself up. Yeah, you have a fucking headache now. Great. Go get checked after the game or something. Like, fucking grow a pair. Like, I feel like it's soft. Like, what's going on?
Well, why? I don't understand why he didn't slide.
I don't know.
I don't either.
Like, IQ, like, he's going to make a play at the plate. Olsen's going to come home with those right at him.
Was he on deck hitter stand there telling him to slide?
I didn't see the on deck hitter.
He
though.
wasn't there.
So
Guaranteed.
The other one
was. Maybe he was.
The other one was O'Neal Cruz, and the catcher for the White Sox. And again, he's out. I don't know how long.
10 to 12 weeks.
Broken ankle. Did you see that slide?
No, sir.
These
Or
are
lack-
big. These
or
are,
lack
or
thereof.
Here you go. Another play at the plate.
Yeah, broke his ankle.
Yeah, ankle she gone.
Turn sideways.
They run it in slow
You
mo.
can break-
Ground ball to third base.
Watch his left foot. You'll see
I mean, there's a clear path to
you'll
the
see
home.
it snap right here.
Oh, yeah.
But why are you not sliding?
Right.
You're always taught once the catcher goes up, you go down. Mm-hmm. He was still trying to stay in the throwing lane. That it makes no sense. But then there we go again. Fundamentals of the game of baseball.
And that's kind of my point of showing you both of those plays, because they're coachable moments. While big leaguers, kind of younger players, but like if you're going on contact, you kind of have to know that ball's going to third base.
Yeah.
Probably going to be a play at the plate.
Correct. And your eyes are looking at that catcher and seeing where his eyes go, where the throw takes him, so you can slide out.
I don't know. I just thought it was odd that one, they're blaming the catcher with Darno, and then the other one, or no, I'm sorry, the last one with the catcher. But in both instances, plays at the plate. Like it's not that big a debate.
I'm not blaming Darno.
I'm not blaming either.
He's going straight to where the tag's going to be.
Right.
And I mean, Odor's just a bitch anyways, since going back to Sock Batista. He could have slid. Why don't you? He looked like he was thinking about going with the arm or shoulder there. Like, I don't know. He's bad for the game of baseball. I can't stand him.
Well, it's not his first instance with a little controversy. I mean, those are easy.
That one's worse than O'Neal.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just a dumb player. He's just an idiot.
Made a bad choice.
I mean, fucking slide.
Chad is fired.
But where's the on deck hitter? Where's that guy yelling to slide? Again, fundamentals. That is a fundamental that is not taught.
Well, Odor, if you watch the video again, like he doesn't even touch home.
No,
I think he got called out. That run didn't count.
I don't know.
No, it didn't.
Because he went back to touch the home plate, but after the runner came.
and they called him out. They did check it, and they called him out because of that. The runner behind him touched the plate before Odor could go back and touch it, so his run didn't even count. And you took out somebody's catcher. So I just wanted to show you guys that is for the fundamental reason, or coachable moments, or kind of maybe to prove
what is that
a coachable moment.
Yeah, what's coaching?
It's another topic.
I literally had to step away from CJ's rec team, and I care so much for not only CJ, because I know he's going to get taught the right thing, whether it's at home or what, but I feel bad for these other kids that aren't getting taught anything, they're pitching at this age and they're failing. They fail by coach pitch. Now we want kids to pitch and they're going to fail even more. And I get it's a game of failure, but at this level, these kids are supposed to have fun and succeed right now to understand they want to come back. Like my thing is, like in this age, you want them to come back next year and then the year after and the year after. Wins and stuff don't matter till you get to not even freshman and JV. Varsity baseball is the only time wins matter. Because everything else is development. Not saying varsity is not development. Everything is development and fun, and you want those players to come back. That's why, back when we grew up, everybody stayed in that one school, that one community. Your friends, probably weren't that good, but they were fun, and they wanted to play Little League with their friends, and they stayed together all the way up. Now it's like, well, he's not very good. Let's go get that guy over there to make our team good. Like, it's annoying. So now I'm just watching games and it's ugly baseball. It's terrible. I feel bad. The coach is out there, you're a cutoff, you're cut off. And I'm like, bro, they're fucking 6, 7, 8. We never even talked about a cutoff in any practice. I said, look, infield, throw it to first. Outfield, throw it to second. Boom, we're done. That's it. There's nothing else to learn. He was trying to have them turn double plays. They can't even play catch from 10 feet away. Like, and now they're supposed to pitch.
I guess my ultimate question to this, and to every
which I wrote an email to Bullard.
What's the hurry?
Yes. What's the hurry?
What's the hurry to get them to play advanced when they're not advanced? Just not there.
Like, why can't they just have fun?
We did that 6U thing, and some people were pissed. Most people were like, "This is ridiculous." But there are people that get butthurt about it, and it's not to be mean. It's just they're not there.
No.
Stop pushing them and there does not need to be that big a hurry.
Right.
No.
Dude, my son's playing T-ball right now, and honestly, he wants to play basketball every day. So we're playing basketball. If he wants to go hit, we go hit. But for some reason, he just picked up this thing. He's dribbling the ball every night. That's once he wants to go out and dribble the ball. Fine.
He's kid.
He's 5.
Correct.
It's not that important. I don't care about what his baseball choices are going to be in 3, 4. I don't need him to declare where he's going. It doesn't matter right now. I don't know. You hearing you talk about some of that stuff sometimes, and other people in their situations, I just kind of ask myself, what is the hurry?
It's changed a lot. Everything.
And that's why I want to start something for this level. And that's what Nikki said. She's like, maybe you're meant to coach CJ's age and start developing these kids like fundamentally, because there isn't any of that really. It's just all go play games.
Yeah. And I'm a dad of daughters, as you guys know. And that's what I respect most about, just as a parent that knows nothing about dance. I mean, if I got up on this table and danced, they'd show you some skills, but don't know anything. Kidding.
No, you're not.
Right. But my daughters work their tails off on the fundamentals of dance. Not tricks, not all this fluff, as I said earlier. The fundamentals of dance, nonstop. And this year is a nationals year where they go to a national competition. They're competitive teams, because you could just take rec classes there. And they compete 5 times this year, and this is a nationals year. Usually it's like 3 times. 5 competitions, and my daughters are at that studio working on development, working on their skill, making it fun. They love it. They walk out of there sweaty, and I like, man, this is pretty impressive, because I think we try to skip steps now, and we want everything to be, competitive to the point where, and I know there's been a lot of talk about, travel baseball and this, that, and the other. I see it all the time. I say, man, we've got 18 different brackets now, and everybody's holding a banner at the end of the tournament, and it says champions, and they could have finished 100th place, but they're still a champ because they won this. Take the games out. Are the kids getting better? Are they working hard? Are they respecting the game? Are they learning how to play the game the right way? Then we're winning. If that stuff is not happening, if I'm part of a travel organization or whatever, and it doesn't matter what sport, you can talk AAU basketball, you could talk baseball. I'm not singling out any travel organization. Believe me, I stay out of that. I think that we need to teach skill set. It's not about playing just games. That should be second nature. Are games fun? Sure they are. But they're
what
not
about exposure? How are you going to get that exposure?
Right. They're not fun when I go, they get 3 innings in because there's 52 errors and 117 walks in a 3-inning game. I go, what are we doing? And it's the same thing, basketball. If the kids run up and down the court, but they've never learned to dribble properly. They've never learned the fundamentals of the game and how to shoot properly, how to pass the ball properly, what a chest pass is, what a bounce pass is. You name the sport. You know, it's like football. I guess they're not playing 162 football games a year yet. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I think that it has changed. When I was growing up, and I think you guys probably experienced the same, there was seasons of sport, and outside of that, you worked on it. And I've always said this, listen, kids want to play multiple sports, that's awesome, go do it. But I'm never going to make a kid play multiple sports. If they don't want to, if my daughters just want to dance, just dance. You know, but I think that development process, they don't have to play 100 games. How about they get on a field and just work on skill development?
Well, that's not fun. It's boring.
Right. Yeah. No, you just showed me videos of at the big league level, them not sliding and, you know, things like, I said it because I mean it. Was the on-deck circle, did he bust his tail to home plate and tell the guy to slide this way, that way, the other way? No. Well, that's stuff that we learned growing up that I still, doesn't always happen, but I still try to instill in my players. Like, there's a conversation. If there's a play at the plate and my on-deck hitter did not hustle his butt up there and try to get the bat out of the way, because I remember teams that guys would drop the bat right in front of home plate, knowing if there's a play there, that guy has to slide on top of that bat. And my job as the on-deck hitter was to sprint up there, grab the bat, get it out of the way. If a catcher's mask was dropped there, now they got those helmets on that half the time don't come off. Get that out of the way and create an eyesight where you're telling the kid to slide. Those are the things that I respect young coaches so much that go out and teach with patience just the game. And teach the kids to have fun playing the game, but have fun playing the game, learning it the right way. You know, no, the shortstop's not the cut home. He's not the cut home when we're 12. He should not be the cut home everywhere around the diamond. Teach him that the ball's hit the center and right. The first baseman's going to be the cut because that's how you're going to learn the game properly. Well, shortstop's the best player. Who cares? Oh, we're going to lose because we're teaching it right. You know, and I go out to game. They go, why is the shortstop cutting that ball to right field? Home. Well, he's the best athlete. He catch, throw, but. Well, that's not right. Third baseman, you're the cut left field. And, you know, just the little things like that I see. But I don't know. Sometimes I am so thankful that my daughters are in a situation where they're learning skill development. And the other thing they're learning is they're humbled at that studio. Like they are. Like, hey, listen, you're not good enough yet. You didn't make this or that or whatever. Man, there's something to be said about that. You're not trying to break dreams. You want kids to have fun, but you're also honest, and you're teaching kids the right. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday. I got cut from the 7th grade basketball team in my middle school, and I went home and cried and felt bad, but I worked harder and I made it my 8th grade year. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know if that.
No, they would just make a second 7th grade team nowadays.
B team.
And I don't know.
Well,
believe me, and I don't have all the answers.
No, and you talked about earlier about how it all ties in. You know, it goes back to the everybody going to the playoffs.
Yes,
and like the thing with the kids and these listen, these kids aren't in charge. It's the parents. The parents are running the show. The parents are the ones that are.
Yeah, but their kid's going to be that 1%. Which is like, no, they're not. Sorry. No. Like not at 8 years old, they're not. There's only been 28,000 Major League Baseball players in the history of the game.
Well, think about that. Take a step back and evaluate if that's what you think. If you really think that my 8-year-old has the chance to be in that 1%, just stop for a second and think about the expectations that you're putting on your 8-year-old. And would you want those? Did you have those on you as an 8-year-old?
No.
Right.
Like that's a lot of weight on a kid that probably doesn't really care all that much.
No.
Likes it.
Right.
And that's the thing too. At
But
like
he's gonna
CJ's
go to-
age, you go out and practice. They actually have fun at practice at their age. It's not boring to them.
Nope.
Especially if you're like, okay, how many balls can we catch? Let's make it a competition,
Right.
And throw just balls straight up. I mean, these guys wanted these guys to run to the left, throw it, catch, run to the right.
They're
we
doing
can't even throw balls straight up and catch the ball. Why are
Full
we
high school blown
practice
college
stuff?
drills?
Like
yeah.
it's just like, no, man. Like we need to teach them how to catch and throw. Like we need a point. Let's play the points game. We did that one practice. That was the best catch I've ever seen him play because they were concentrating on 2 things to throw the ball,
Right.
rather than like I'm just gonna throw it hard over my buddy's head so he can run and get it. And I'm gonna laugh at him because they're 7, right? Like, that's what they
catch
want to
is.
do.
Yeah.
That's a catch. You run and get it. And it's just like, could you imagine taking your daughters to 5 competitions without any practice? That's like what's going on.
Correct. I see it. And I just, we're skipping steps, like I said. And those are the most important steps. And I think, and I come from obviously a baseball background, with a dad who obviously had coached for a very long time, well respected. And then my uncle, he was 26th pick in 1969. He would have been a first rounder, but he was like a first pick of the second round or something because it was only, 25 teams or whatever. And I talked to them at family gatherings and functions on how'd you guys get good? And the things my dad and my uncle talk about are like, wow, that's lost, completely lost. Where did wiffle ball go? Where did throwing a tennis ball off your brick chimney outside and just barehanding? You made a comment earlier about, racquetballs and your coach hitting racquetballs and you're barehanded and you had to work on hand-eye coordination and playing games like target catch and things like that. I think, man, that you cannot. There is nothing that simulates that, and just going and working on your skill with your buddies and playing and watching the game. And doing those little things like that. And so it's crazy to me to see kind of where we're going because, the biggest thing that I look at in this game, and I made the comment earlier, more strikeouts than hit. Where has the 2-strike approach gone? Why are we not trying to put the ball in play? If you want games to be more exciting, excitement comes from balls being put in play. Nope, 100%, right? That's where the excitement comes. Why are we not focusing on that? Why are we not trying to limit the amount of walks? Where did the strike throwers go? I mean, you look at Maddox and Clavin and whoever else. Where I cannot stand it. We pride ourselves at Fresno High on doing those things. And I lost a 13-12 game in the Easter Classic, and it was the first time. My guys, they competed their butts off. I tell you, it's hard because we're running the tournament, announcing and doing everything at City, and I've got my guys trying to warm up. Our first game in the Easter tournament, we lost 13-12. We walked 15 and hit 3 in a high school game. That never happens. You guys know, you've played against us. My guys, we pride ourselves on throwing strikes. You're going to have to, because do me a favor, go out next time you go watch a high school game. You count the number of times you see 3 hits in a row. It doesn't happen. There's not 3 hits in a row, right? And so if you're throwing strikes, you're going to get outs. Mm-hmm. If you can command the strike zone, there's not, think about it. I wish I could go back over 72 games in the Easter tournament. I want to see how many times, take the walks out of it. If you just throw strikes, how many guys are stringing together three hits in a row? So now think about that for a second. If you're able to throw strikes and you can play defense and make plays, routine plays, you're giving yourself a good chance to win. Absolutely. Day in and day out. Yep. Because guys aren't going to come up. It doesn't matter how good your pitching is or how bad. It could be the worst pitching ever. Guys, still, you see when big leaguers put position players into pitch.
Why are they getting out, right?
Correct. They're getting out.
Yeah,
they're getting out against guys throwing. Who was it? Who's on Giants Bay Area, the left-handed pitcher?
Sean Estes.
Estes. Oh, he was so mad the other night that Kepler put a position player in when he could have thrown a bullpen arm. He's like, man, as a pitching staff, we take pride. He goes, I don't even want to talk about it. Because he's like, I take pride in our team ERA. And we're just flopping somebody out there to, and I honestly think that if we got back to the fundamentals of this game and truly focused on that, it's not all about the other stuff, and what's the other stuff, playing 8 million games and just going out and playing games, because in games, that's when you see if you studied for the test. When do you do good on a test? When you prepare for that test. So playing the game is to show are we prepared? Are we ready? Did we study enough for that test? If we go out and we walk 100 guys and we're not putting balls in play and we don't know a long alignment or a short alignment or a bunt defense, we're not ready. We have failed the test. Regardless of what the score of that game was, I always tell our players, man, the game's going to take care of itself. You just worry about winning the first inning. If you win the first inning, now win the second inning. If you lost the second inning, win the third inning. Okay, now let's win the crooked number battle. What's that mean? We got to win the big inning. If they score 2, we got to score 3. We have to win the big inning. And then let's win the back end of the game and focus on just the fundamentals, because it is lost. And not everybody. There's still, but I just think just watching players nowadays, there's a lot of showcase players. They look really, really good at, whatever. You're 60 times throwing them BP, but then a lot of it becomes lost in the game because guys can't throw strikes, or he's punching out all the time, or, I wonder how many high school players, just if you ask the simple question of, hey, leadoff double, runner at second, no outs. You look down at the third base coach and he doesn't give you a sacrifice bunt. What's your job? What are you trying to do? Leadoff runner at second base. No, it's what are you trying to do? How many kids would say, I'm a right-handed hitter, I'm trying to hit behind that runner. I got to hit a ball to right field. I got to move him over to third base. We got to score a run this inning. Or a left-hand hitter says, I'm trying to hook barrel the ball. I got to get a ball to that right side of the field so I can move that guy over.
If it's a 2-hitter, why I'm going to drag down third baseline, or I'm going to try something.
Things that, man, and I think
I'm going to try to hit a home run.
Or listen, if you don't, I've never been opposed to not giving a sack, bunt, or drag, and then you go do it on your own. I don't mind that. Just because I didn't give it to you doesn't mean you can't do it. I don't know.
It's just,
especially if you're a good drag, but probably going to give it to you if you are, but you never know. Like having some sense, some IQ. I love that. It's so true.
We need more of that in the game of baseball. I love when guys just come out and talk to my players, random guys. Doesn't matter who, you, whoever. Come talk to our guys.
Well, I think it's, we do need it. We do need it, and I think we get it. I think most of the coaches around here that I'm thinking of in my head kind of preach a lot of this stuff. It's the players got to be willing to receive it.
Oh, yeah.
And take accountability maybe a little bit.
There's very good coaching.
There is.
There's not
talking about myself. No, but I'm saying there's not a lack of knowledgeable fundamental coaches. Maybe it's sometimes the players just aren't willing to accept some of that. Maybe some criticism, right? We're not all right up here.
No.
Some of the kids play the way they play, and that's just the way the game is. Some of it we do have to accept. But I think you're right when it comes to fundamentals, and I think it's sometimes some of the players need to be willing to look themselves in the eye. And am I doing my best fundamental? Am I giving that work the right attention?
Mm-hmm. Well, are you getting enough? If you're a shortstop, are you getting enough ground balls in a game? Even if you play a weekend tournament, how many balls do you actually get in a game as a shortstop? Maybe 2 at the most, maybe, unless there's a double play or something. Like legit balls just hit to the shortstop. So, 6 balls in a weekend.
Oh, and that's
if you play 3 games, it's like, no, you need to go you need to go get a bucket.
And that's why your work in between innings does matter. You never know who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting more ground balls between innings from the first baseman, don't be Mr. Lazy. Don't be nonchalant.
Yeah, well, and I told you I'm not getting in the speed up the game, pitch clock. I'm not. There's good and bad to that whole thing. But have you ever thought about I told you that? How about pitchers throw more strikes?
Yeah.
If you're sitting there and every hitter we're going deep in counts, it's 3-2 to every hitter. Is that slowing the game down? Yeah, a lot. How about 2 of the first 3 strikes to everybody? Let's pound the heck out of the zone. Let's try to pitch contact within the first 3 pitches. Whatever. That's going to speed your game up a lot. but a guy throws 100 and it's all over the place. It's cool.
I love it.
Watch your lips.
Wash your lips.
Watch your lips.
Pap, I know you got practice, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, dude, I appreciate it. That kind of went by fast.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Again, congrats on another successful Easter tournament.
Thank you.
Always looking forward to the next one. If people want to get involved, can they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
What's the best way to reach out?
Get a hold of me. The FresnoEasterClassic.com. We have a website. There's an information form that they can fill out. They can email me at jason.papi@FresnoUnified.org. I've already had a couple schools actually reach out about next year. We're really excited to get going on the 54th. I just, this is something that it's fun to do. Next year's going to be a little different because, and it bounces around, it fluctuates all the time. But next year's Easter is late March. So we're praying for good weather, obviously. Right. But it's just so much fun to put on. It's a lot of work. But like I said, my dad, myself, all the great people that help us. And most importantly, the sponsors. I told you, people think this is a unbelievable fundraiser. We're a lot invested before a pitch is thrown. And if it wasn't for our major sponsors, the Valley-Wide Beverage, the American Ambulances, Cal Valley Electric, it would be hard to put this thing on at the way we do it now. I can have teams throwing balls. I can raise the entry fee. I can, get rid of the coaches.
What you should. We talked about this.
Yeah, I agree. But we just want to put a great deal on for high school baseball teams throughout California, not only throughout California, outside the state. I mentioned it at the dinner, 53 years old. This was the first year Camas High from Washington played Crater High from Oregon. We'd never had two out-of-state teams play each other.
Yeah,
and so that was cool. That was a first, and hopefully we can just keep expanding, keep making it better. I want to thank all those coaches that allow us to use their facilities. It was a pleasure this year adding Fresno Pacific into the mix. Coach Hirschkorn, huge shout out. He has one heck of. I actually drove over there to scout a game, and his playing surface is hands down the best around. I don't know if you guys have been out there.
It's been a minute.
It is unbelievable. Just go look at the playing surface. And he told me when we were talking before the tournament that the end of this year they're building a stadium, and so hopefully by first pitch next year they'll have a brand new stadium there. But what a great addition to the tournament, and all the schools that you guys see. 7 schools on Monday, 8 on Tuesday, and 9 on Wednesday. Thank you to all those coaches because it's a lot of work. Fixing fields and making sure that they're ready to go. So Ryan Smith at Clovis East allowing us to have the championship game there this year, and I'll tell you what, man, you were there. It was a big crowd.
Yeah,
and so
it was a good crowd.
Looking forward to next year, and I'm looking forward to the back end of this high school baseball season and some really good baseball. Hopefully the Warriors continue to play well. I'm proud of our guys. We're competing and getting better, and that's what I ask every day of our players. That's not going to be easy, but like I said earlier, man, they're not going to be remembered for the first 17 or 18 that they've played. It's all these teams in the Valley are going to be remembered for the back end of your season. So hopefully we get some really good baseball down the stretch.
Yeah, no, good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Again, if y'all want to get involved in the Fresno Easter Classic, please reach out. Sponsors, help, whatever you got, whatever you can do, provide. Reach out to Coach Papi. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for what you do. I'll be honest. I talked about people coming out and talking to my players. You can learn a lot from just listening to things like this. You've had some amazing guests on over the years, and I never miss one. I think that it's really cool to learn things. I drive around in my car, audio books and podcasts, and
you always hit me with I'm going to go for a jog. I'm going to listen.
Yes, yeah, because my players probably laugh at me, and I know my buddies do because we talk in the neighborhood. We talk about whether we're working out, whether we're, whatever we're doing. I say, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. And so they always tell me, did you get better today? Yeah, we're trying to get better. Could that be the worst game ever, like you said with your Little League team? I just want my kids to get better. Like, can we get better? Did you walk away getting better? And so you guys have provided a atmosphere where if people truly dig in and listen to, I don't even know what episode you guys are on now, there's been so much just gold that's been talked about on here, just stuff that I've taken, and some of the guests that you've had, and it doesn't matter who. I tell my players, you can learn from watching your peers play the game.
Yeah.
I invited all of them out to the championship game. I said, hey, it's not, come out, wear your Fresno High stuff like we used to. I mean, do you remember growing up in Fresno State baseball, there was how many kids out there, and Bullard High did something pretty cool this year, real quick before we go, is they called me when they made the championship game, and they said, hey, we're going to pay you for this. But how about we advertise, you allow us to advertise that every kid that wears Bullard Cal Ripken or Bullard Hardball Academy, their jersey to the game, they get in for free. And I was like, 100%. What do we do? You want kids to watch baseball. You want your sons to watch baseball. Get those kids there. They look up to these guys. And, they said, hey, we're going to pay you for the kids. But if the kid comes, what happens? The parents come. And the parents come, they're buying tickets, and you're making more money, and the crowd's bigger. And I said, man, that is that's brilliant. And, sometimes you have out-of-area teams that get in the championship game. But, I think that in this valley, it's been a hotbed for a long time, and I don't ever want to see that change. I take pride in it, and it actually hurts me a little bit to say that other areas in California might be a little better than us right now, and because I'm part of this area, and I think we need to continue to grind and work and push and develop these kids to where their skill set, because everybody in this state, they come here to play hard-nosed baseball teams. That's what's always been talked about. You come to Fresno for the Easter tournament, you're going to play against quality competition in great ballparks. And in this area, for a long time, we've played the game the right way, and I hope that never changes. And so, I know there's great tournaments elsewhere, but we're really proud of the product that we put on the field for the Easter Classic, and we're going to continue to do it. It makes me proud to see my dad at 76 years old still showing up, and he actually got sick on Thursday, the day after the Easter tournament. I know he was just exhausted. I mean, because we're meeting our park supervisors every day at 7 a.m., and we're getting in after going through cash boxes and putting new tickets in and doing what we do sometimes 12:30 and 1 in the morning. And for my dad, obviously he was tired, and so it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for all the support you give to it and have given to it over the years, and we're just looking forward to 54. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it, man.
Guys.
I appreciate you making time for us too, and been supporting of us over the last few years.
Oh yeah.
Stay tuned for some more Hit or Die. That's another episode of Hit or Die Podcast.
Hit or Die. Hit or Die.